well, all of us are Eurasian, and there's a large community of Eurasians within Liverpool, and the first Chinatown that is referred to is actually Eurasia Town. So going back from First World War, when you had the Chinese seamen that were here then, they were the ones that stayed behind, set up little shops and small businesses, etc., intermarried. And so you had the first group of Eurasians, so it was Eurasia Town. It didn't become a Chinatown that we see it as today until in the late 50s. And that was when people started coming in from Hong Kong and the New Territories. I heard a radio programme about sailors being shanghaied or Shanghaied sailors, and I thought this sounds rather interesting, and it could be what happened to my father, who I believe had disappeared. And so I started the research. Major thing was to find out the truth as far as we could, to also know why, wherefore, if possible. We would like to find out if there's anywhere where the names of the men that went back. There's only two of my group that have a photograph of their fathers, and both those photographs are on the website, and we're all envious of them because nobody else has got anything. One's even got a letter, which we just, think is absolutely wonderful. And I've always wanted to get the facts. I dislike the fact that there has been different stories out there about men being rounded up. We've got no record whatsoever. The only time that men were rounded up was when they were due to go on ship. And I know the shipping line wanted to get rid of what they considered troublemakers. I mean, they were having a bad time after the war. Local authorities wanted the housing. There's a whole mix of things. You have to remember it was a war period. Things happened. It was a product of its time. It wasn't a nice thing to happen. Council in Liverpool and asked for permission to put the plaque up here. We faced a little bit of opposition at first. It took about 6 months, and we wanted it to be in Chinese as well as English, so that the future generation of Chinese visitors and anybody else can actually read it and question the story. And as you can see by the wording, and we put forced to leave, that also creates an interest for why it happened. Actually a 60th birthday gift from my husband. So he paid for it and we contributed and we wanted it there. So I identify myself as British, but I do know that I am part Chinese. Being a seaport, I grew up with the fact that, there was lots of different nationalities, and yes, it was racist in some of the files. It was, why did these women marry the Chinese? And, I mean, in my own mother's case, it was like that, in that her father didn't agree, and hence why I was born in Hull, because my mother left home. I remember being called names occasionally, but then again, it wasn't that rampant. Or I certainly can't say that I experienced it as being that rampant. Because we were all brought up in a very working class society, it was less of a problem, I consider. It's got a lot of information. This is my mother. This is the only photograph I have of myself as a child. It's quite a poignant photograph in that when I was doing the research, when I turned the back over, there's a little note on saying, to Dad, March the 23rd, 1946, and I was born in the February, and he obviously never got the photograph because it was intended for him to see. And I never searched or wanted to search for my father, because like most of our mothers believed that our fathers had deserted us, and so they believed their husbands had deserted them. I didn't set out to find my father. But in doing the research I found him in myself, in my personality, in my responses to things. It's not my mother's and my mum's side or my dad's side. So I have found him within me.